My name is Mia, and for most of my life I thought football was just a game. A ball, a field, 90 minutes, one winner, one loser. But then I discovered something that changed the way I looked at football forever. I discovered Cristiano Ronaldo, and I discovered Lionel Messi. Two names, two completely different personalities, two completely different journeys, and somehow, two careers that changed the history of football. But here is the question I could never answer. If you had to choose only one, would you choose Ronaldo or would you choose Messi? I remember the first time I heard those names together. I was sitting on the couch with my father watching a football match. My father looked at me and said, Mia, one day people will argue about these two players for decades. I laughed. I didn't believe him. I thought he was exaggerating. But he wasn't. Because Ronaldo and Messi weren't simply becoming football stars, they were becoming a football era. And the strange thing is, their stories didn't begin with fame, they began with struggle. Cristiano Ronaldo was born on the Portuguese island of Madeira. He wasn't born into a life of luxury. He was a boy with a football and a dream. Even as a child, Ronaldo wanted something bigger. He wanted to become the best. That ambition followed Ronaldo everywhere. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in Argentina, another boy was growing up. His name was Lionel Messi. Messi was quiet. Messi wasn't the loudest person in the room. He didn't need to be. When Messi had a football at his feet, the ball seemed to speak for him. But Messi's childhood wasn't simple either. He faced a serious growth-related medical issue that required treatment. And for a young boy dreaming of becoming a professional footballer, that was a terrifying obstacle. Imagine being a child. Imagine loving football more than anything, and then being told that your body might prevent you from reaching your dream. That was part of Messi's early journey. And while Messi was fighting one battle, Ronaldo was fighting another. Ronaldo was building himself through discipline, training, sacrifice, obsession. Ronaldo didn't want to be good. Ronaldo wanted to be extraordinary. And that's one of the biggest differences people often talk about when comparing Ronaldo and Messi. Messi seemed to have a natural connection with the ball. Ronaldo seemed determined to turn himself into a weapon. But there was something both Ronaldo and Messi understood very early. Talent alone wasn't enough. Dreams alone weren't enough. You had to keep going when nobody was watching. And that is where their stories became truly interesting. When Ronaldo left Madeira and moved toward a professional football career, he was still just a teenager. Imagine leaving the comfort of home at that age. Imagine being surrounded by older players. Imagine being judged every single day. Imagine knowing that thousands of young players wanted the same dream. Ronaldo didn't run away from the pressure. He used it. And then came Manchester United. Ronaldo arrived as a young player with enormous potential. But potential is a dangerous word. People love saying someone has potential. Because potential means you haven't proven everything yet. Ronaldo wanted to prove it. He wanted the world to stop calling him a talented kid. He wanted the world to call him a superstar. And slowly, Ronaldo transformed. The speed became sharper, the finishing became stronger, the confidence became enormous. And then there was Messi. At Barcelona, Messi began showing something that was almost impossible to explain. He could move through defenders as if they weren't there. One defender would come. Messi would go around him. Another defender would arrive. Messi would disappear again. People started asking the same question. How is he doing this? Messi wasn't just playing football. Messi was creating moments. And soon, football fans everywhere had a new problem. They couldn't decide who was better, Ronaldo or Messi. At first, the answer seemed easy depending on which player you loved. If you loved power, speed, athleticism, and incredible finishing, you looked at Ronaldo. If you loved dribbling, creativity, passing, and impossible control, you looked at Messi. But then something happened. Their careers began moving toward the same stage. Spain, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Ronaldo, Messi. The rivalry became bigger than individual matches. Every time Ronaldo scored, people talked about Messi. Every time Messi scored, people talked about Ronaldo. Every record became a comparison. Every award became a debate. Every Champions League night became another chapter. And I remember thinking, how can two players make millions of people argue this passionately? Then I understood. Because Ronaldo and Messi weren't just competing against each other, they were challenging each other without necessarily needing to speak. Ronaldo pushed the standard higher. Messi answered. Messi produced something unbelievable. Ronaldo answered. Ronaldo scored another incredible goal. Messi responded with another magical performance. It felt endless, and for football fans like me, it was impossible to look away. But behind all the goals, there were sacrifices. That's something people forget. When you see Ronaldo celebrating in front of thousands of fans, you don't see all the training sessions. You don't see the mornings when he had to push himself again. You don't see the moments when things went wrong. You see the result. When you watch Messi dribble past defenders, you don't see every difficult moment that came before that. You see the magic. But magic has a price. And both Ronaldo and Messi paid it. Years passed. Ronaldo became one of the most recognizable athletes on the planet. Messi became one of the most admired footballers in history. And still, the question remained, who is better, Ronaldo or Messi? Then came one of the most fascinating parts of their careers. They were no longer just young stars, they were leaders. Ronaldo moved from Manchester United to Real Madrid and eventually became the face of one of football's greatest clubs. Messi became the heart of Barcelona. Their rivalry reached another level. El Clasico. Real Madrid against Barcelona. Ronaldo against Messi. Millions watching. Every goal analyzed. Every movement discussed. Every celebration copied. And every mistake criticized. I used to think that kind of pressure would destroy a person. But somehow, Ronaldo kept going. Messi kept going. And that is what made the rivalry special. They didn't need the same style. They didn't need the same personality. They didn't even need the same path. They simply needed to keep moving forward. Ronaldo became famous for his physical power and extraordinary goal scoring. Messi became famous for his incredible vision and seemingly effortless movement. Ronaldo could rise above defenders and attack the ball in the air. Messi could receive the ball between defenders and suddenly create something nobody expected. Ronaldo could turn a match with one strike. Messi could turn a match with one pass. Ronaldo could make a stadium explode with a goal. Messi could make the same stadium go silent with one magical run. And I began to realize something. Maybe the reason people can't agree isn't because one player is obviously better. Maybe it's because Ronaldo and Messi represent two different ways of becoming great. Ronaldo represents determination. Messi represents natural brilliance. Ronaldo represents relentless self-improvement. Messi represents extraordinary creativity. Ronaldo makes you think, how hard can someone work to become great? Messi makes you think, how naturally beautiful can football become? And then their national teams brought another emotional chapter. For Ronaldo, there was Portugal. For Messi, Argentina. Club football had already given them almost everything. But international football was different. Here they weren't just representing themselves, they were representing millions of people. Ronaldo experienced the pain of international disappointment. Messi experienced it too. There were moments when both players looked defeated, moments when fans questioned them, moments when critics said they couldn't do enough for their countries. But this is where I learned one of the most important lessons from their stories. Great players don't avoid failure, great players survive it. Ronaldo returned. Messi returned. Again, and again, and again. Eventually, Ronaldo helped Portugal win the European Championship in 2016, and Messi eventually achieved the greatest international prize of his career with Argentina at the 2022 World Cup. That World Cup changed the conversation around Messi. For years, people had asked, can Messi win the World Cup? Then Messi and Argentina answered, yes. And suddenly another debate became even louder. Ronaldo or Messi? Messi or Ronaldo? I was watching the World Cup with my family. When Messi lifted the trophy, my father looked at me. He smiled, and he said, Mia, now the argument will never end. He was right. Because even after all those years, the question remained alive. Ronaldo, Messi, Messi, Ronaldo. But here's what people sometimes miss. Their careers are not identical. And they don't need to be. Ronaldo doesn't need to become Messi. Messi doesn't need to become Ronaldo. Each created his own identity. And perhaps that's why their rivalry became so powerful. Imagine if it never existed. Football would be different. Imagine if existed, football would also be different. Now imagine both of them never existed. That is almost impossible to imagine. Because an entire generation grew up watching them. Children copied Ronaldo's celebrations. Children tried Messi's dribbles. People wore their shirts. People argued about their statistics. People stayed awake to watch their matches. People created videos about them. People built entire communities around the debate. And yes, I became one of those people. But as I got older, I stopped asking only, who is better? I started asking another question. What can I learn from both of them? From Ronaldo, I learned that discipline matters. You can have talent, but without hard work here. Ronaldo's journey reminds us that your starting point doesn't decide your final destination. I learned that being different isn't a weakness. Messi didn't need to become the biggest or loudest personality. He let his football speak. Messi's journey reminds us that sometimes your greatest strength is the thing that makes you different from everyone else. And perhaps that is why I don't want to choose only one. Because Ronaldo taught one lesson, Messi taught another. Ronaldo showed what relentless ambition can create. Messi showed what extraordinary creativity can create. Ronaldo made people believe that limits can be attacked. Messi made people believe that impossible things can look effortless. And now, after all these years, when I hear the names Ronaldo and Messi, I don't just think about goals. I think about time. I think about childhood. I think about pressure. I think about failure. I think about getting back up. I think about millions of fans watching two extraordinary careers unfold at the same time. That is something we may never see again. Two players, one era, two different paths, one unforgettable story. Ronaldo, Messi, Messi, Ronaldo. And maybe the real winner wasn't Ronaldo. Maybe it wasn't Messi. Maybe the real winner was football. Because football gave us something incredibly rare. It gave us two legends we could watch at the same time. Two legends we could compare. Two legends we could debate. Two legends who each other to become better. And now I want you to imagine something. Imagine you are standing in a stadium. The lights are on. The crowd is screaming. On one side, Ronaldo. On the other, Messi. You have only one choice. No second option. No both. No, it depends. Just one name. Ronaldo or Messi? Who would you choose? Think carefully. Because this isn't only about goals. It isn't only about trophies. It isn't only about records. It's about the journey. It's about the personality. It's about the memories. It's about the moments that made you fall in love with football. For me, that's the hardest part. Because every time I think I've made my choice, I remember another Ronaldo moment. And when I think I'm certain, I remember another Messi moment. Ronaldo makes me think about determination. Messi makes me think about imagination. Ronaldo makes me think about power. Messi makes me think about precision. Ronaldo makes me think about sacrifice. Messi makes me think about creativity. And that's why this debate will probably never die. Years from now, people will still ask the same question: who was greater, Ronaldo or Messi? And maybe children who weren't even born during their greatest battles will watch old clips and argue about them. Someone will say Ronaldo, someone else will say Messi, and both will have reasons. Because greatness isn't always something that can be measured with one number. Sometimes greatness is the feeling a player leaves behind. Sometimes greatness is the memory. Sometimes greatness is the inspiration. And Ronaldo inspired millions. Messi inspired millions. So perhaps, instead of asking which legend we should erase, we should be grateful that we got to watch both. Ronaldo, Messi, two names that became bigger than football, two journeys that started far away from the biggest stadiums, two boys who dreamed, two boys who struggled, two boys who kept going, and two legends who eventually changed the game forever. My name is Mia, and after I still can't give you a perfect answer. Ronaldo or Messi? Maybe you can. So if Ronaldo is your choice, You already know what to do, and if Messi is your choice, you already know what to do. But before you leave, look at that wheel one more time, because somewhere between Ronaldo's and Messi, there is one more round waiting, and this time, the choice is yours, Ronaldo or Messi. The debate continues, and maybe it always will. My name is Mia, and for most of my life I thought football was just a game. A ball, a field, 90 minutes, one winner, one loser. But then I discovered something that changed the way I looked at football forever. I discovered Cristiano Ronaldo, and I discovered Lionel Messi. Two names, two completely different personalities, two completely different journeys, and somehow, two careers that changed the history of football. But here is the question I could never answer. If you had to choose only one, would you choose Ronaldo or would you choose Messi? I remember the first time I heard those names together. I was sitting on the couch with my father, watching a football match. My father looked at me and said, Mia, one day people will argue about these two players for decades. I laughed. I didn't believe him. I thought he was exaggerating. But he wasn't. Because Ronaldo and Messi weren't simply becoming football stars, they were becoming a football era. And the strange thing is, their stories begin with fame. They began with struggle. Cristiano Ronaldo was born on the Portuguese island of Madeira. He wasn't born into a life of luxury. He was a boy with a football and a dream. Even as a child, Ronaldo wanted something bigger. He wanted to become the best. That ambition followed Ronaldo everywhere. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in Argentina, another boy was growing up. His name was Lionel Messi. Messi was quiet. Messi wasn't the loudest person in the room. He didn't need to be. When Messi had a football at his feet, the ball seemed to speak for him. But Messi's childhood wasn't simple either. He faced a serious growth